Good morning, Eric.
Good morning. How's it going?
Good. Is my camera not working?
Who's this?
Dan Thompson.
Dan, I don't see you. No.
Why not?
I don't know.
Neither do I. Start video. Maybe that'll help. Oh, there we go.
There you are. Yes.
Technology.
Yep.
Looking crazy.
Yep. Okay, so we are recording, and I believe we are live on Facebook. Let me just see if I can kind of verify that. No, it says we're live on Facebook. I don't know if anybody else, well, it's worked in the past, so I don't know any reason why it wouldn't continue working. Well, it's 6:30, so pretty sure we can go ahead and get started. Now my phone's ringing. Let me stop that from happening. So how's everybody doing?
Excellent.
Good. I'm in my garage and boy, is it hot. Ouch. Okay, so I pushed unmute on, well, I've got Rich. Oh, I see Kurt. Okay, Esther, I'm gonna unmute. I'm trying to unmute all the board members so we can get through the introductory stuff quickly. We'll see how that works. And then, of course, I need to. The meeting is not called to order yet. Give me just a second here, guys. I need one more thing here before I can. And I'm going to stop sharing that because that's what's messing me up. Zoom really goes crazy when you start sharing your screen. It wants to change all the controls. So I need two things here. I need tonight's agenda.
We'll be here helping neighbors move forward. So whether you stop by a Napa Auto Parts store or Auto Care Center,
Agenda.
you can count locally on
Move that over here. Open new window. And then I need a roster to make sure I'm calling everybody's name.
Right.
We all saw that.
What?
What did we see?
Sippity sip, sip, sip. I'm
Oh.
just jelly because I didn't get to get mine first.
Oh.
Well, you're at home. You can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
Here we go. All right. Okay, guys, sorry about that. I'm just, I thought I had everything lined up and then I didn't. No other excuse except that. Okay, so we're going to present. I'm going to share the screen.
Does your CPAP mask keep you awake at night? Do the straps and headgear cause you constant pain? Stop living.
Okay, somebody's got some background noise there. Must be one of us. Anyway, welcome everyone. Calling to order the July 8th meeting of the Carmel Mountain Ranch Sabre Springs Community Council. Welcome, and hope you all had a good 4th of July. It was different, that's for sure. So we are called to order. I'm going to move on to quickly going over, as I always do, the meeting etiquette. Most of us already know, but if for anybody that hasn't been here, I'm muting everyone except board members at this point, and then I will ask at the appropriate time if we have non-agenda public comments. I've had at least one emailed to me, and then when that happens, you can either raise your hand virtually in Zoom or type me a message in the chat, and then I will get you queued up for non-agenda public comment, and then keep your comments, please, to 3 minutes or less if you can. We're going to try and get through this tonight in 90 minutes or less, but you know, we'll take whatever time is needed. And then same procedure for agenda items. If you have questions or comments, we'll do raised hands or chat questions. And then if we have any technical issues or hacking of any kind, we'll just terminate the feed, and we haven't had to do that ever, so shouldn't be a problem. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing this screen now, so when the board members are talking, we get to see them, and see how that works. Okay, so then where is my participant list? Participants. Okay. So I am your chairperson, Eric Edelman. I'm a business owner here in Carmel Mountain Ranch resident since 2004. So I believe that's close to 17 years, or maybe it was 2003. Feels like 17 years. Esther, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Esther Berry, Vice Chair, and I'm a homeowner, live in Walden. Been here for 12 years.
Awesome. Ryan, are you there?
Yes, I am. Ryan Yamasaki, homeowner, Carmel Mountain Ranch for 6 years.
Very good. And then Dan Thompson, I know you're here somewhere.
Yes, Dan Thompson, business representative, also a Carmel Mountain Ranch homeowner since 1988.
That goes all the way back.
Sir.
Awesome. John Chu, let me unmute you. There you are. Oh, we've got audio issues with you, John. Sound like you're on helium. It's still giving us a problem. We know John is here, and we're gonna come back to him, and hopefully that'll sort itself out. Rich Krejci.
Hi, Rich Krejci. I'm a homeowner, Carmel Mountain Ranch, and I've only been here 15 years.
Only 15 years, and lucky enough to be my neighbor for 4 of those years. Sorry about the noise on the 4th, Rich.
That was nice. Better than the boring fireworks on TV.
We had a huge bucket of water, don't worry. John Schroeder.
Yeah, I'm John Schroeder. I'm a homeowner in Carmel Mountain Ranch. I've been living here for about 17 years, 2013.
There you go. Okay, where are we at? Mark Clark.
2003, actually.
Yeah, 2003.
Yeah.
That is Mark Clark. Let me make sure Mark is unmuted. I saw him here. Oh, there he is. Unmute. Sorry, Mark.
No problem. Mark Clark, homeowner, Walden, since 2003.
Awesome. Thank you. And last but not least, Michelle Mullen.
Hi, Michelle Mullen, homeowner.
Very good.
How about me, Eric?
Oh, how did I go past Joseph?
I know.
Oh, I've got a whole other page here. That's why. Joseph Valencia.
I am Joe Valencia. Carmel Mountain Ranch since 2006.
Awesome. Kurt.
Hey everybody, Kurt Carlson, homeowner since 1986.
Wow, that goes all the way back. Okay, now I gotta find Silva and unmute her. Okay, Silva, okay, there you go. Silva Salehi.
Hi, I'm Silva Salehi, business owner, a resident of Carmel Mountain Ranch since 1993.
And that guy next to you looks like Majid Mosheri.
Yeah. Hi, this is Majid Moshirian. I'm the resident since 1993.
Awesome. Okay, that means we have all 13 of us in attendance tonight. Thank you for that. Definitely meeting our quorum. So we will continue on with the roster, and I'm leaving the board members unmuted because we've got to do the approval of agenda and minutes. So do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
This is Rich. I'll make the motion.
Okay, and let's just do it this way. If anyone is opposed, please state so or put it in the chat. Otherwise, I will assume that you're approving. And if anyone is abstaining, please let me know. Okay, so we are going to assume that that is a unanimous consent to approve tonight's agenda, unless somebody were to signify otherwise in the chat or shout at me. Okay, so that means we need to get a motion to approve the minutes from last month's meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to approve last month's minutes.
Okay, Kurt Carlson motion. Who's seconding?
I'll second it.
Okay, Silva. All those in favor, raise your hands. Any opposition or abstentions?
Eric, this is John Schroeder. I did not get a chance to review the minutes, so I'll abstain.
Okay, so that's 12 for approval and 1 abstention on the minutes from John Schroeder. All other board members are assumed to have approved. So that brings us to public comment, non-agenda items. And I got an email from Harold, and let me see here. I'm going to unmute Harold so he can tell us about this. He sent me an email, but it's a little cumbersome to read and manage at the same time. So I'm going to find, there he is. Harold, there you go. Harold, do you want to make a comment or you just want this submitted with the minutes?
I'd like to read it, the one part that's my comment.
Okay, please go ahead.
In particular, the first thing I'd like to do is thank Brian Hollingsworth and Eric for taking the time to write the letter that Eric attached to our agenda. The letter to Planner Xavier Del Val regarding the Alante project. It's organized, precise, complete, and perfectly conveys everything our community objects to about that project. Then also, I'd like to say that since the COVID-19 virus has impacted our ability to access the city planning department resources, and New Urban West has not stepped up to improve transparency, our community has had a much more difficult time expressing our concerns to city officials. It's feeling more and more like our input is not valued and not welcome. In addition to community-wide concerns about the number of housing units being proposed, what they will look like, and where they will be located, I feel like the processes used by the city are designed to minimize our ability to impact development in our neighborhood. There were several workshops prior to the New Urban West initiation request, which are being touted as working with the community. but in practice, they were only employed to encourage us to focus on the less important aspects of the project. This is proven by the fact that not only did New Urban West not discuss their building plans, but apparently they do not ever plan to reveal them to the public. If New Urban West is at all serious about transparency, they will rewrite the design guidelines in a more organized and understandable manner, work with the community to truthfully communicate their intentions, and not only listen to, but act on our concerns about this project. Thanks.
Thank you, Harold. And I will point out, I appreciate you recognizing the letter writing on the Alante project, and I will tell you that was all Brian. He pulled an all-nighter and put that together after many, many months of work as our subcommittee chairman. And I had, you know, I incorporated some edits, but Brian wrote that, and it was beautiful. You're right. Thank you, Brian, for that. Okay. Robert Mallory is asking about maintenance of the CMR community signage and flags visible from I-15. And it looks like Harold has answered that that is the HOA responsibility. Robert, if you want to make a public comment about that, just signify in the chat and I'll unmute you. Otherwise, we'll assume that that question was answered. Okay. And then Marty and Bob Bieksha, do you guys, that's I guess more of a question than a comment, and I don't believe so. I don't believe, they're asking if the golf course owner ever tried to sell the golf course as a golf course, and I don't know the answer to that. And if anybody else does, they can chime in on the chat. At least not in this round of attempting to sell. I believe their intention was to sell it to a developer. Looking at the New Urban West plans. Okay, John, we'll come back to your question about building heights when we're in the New Urban West portion of the meeting, because I think a lot of that question is definitely going to be addressed. Mark Schaefer. Okay, yeah, Mark says he has some clarification on those flags. So are there any other non-agenda public comments? I don't see any raised hands.
Is Mark
oh,
Clark?
yeah, Mark Clark. Are you okay? You're, I think you can unmute. Can you unmute yourself, or do I? Okay, sorry. There you go.
Yeah, somebody in my community the other day down the street had mentioned that he, kind of crazy, I think at night with a flashlight, had gone down to the tunnel that crosses Highland Ranch Road, right? So kind of going parallel to Ted Williams, right next to Ted Williams. So not the one that goes under Ted Williams into Walden, but the one that's on the other side, and that there look like a bunch of homeless people there. Has anybody else heard or seen? And do we just call the cops? You know, will they care? Like, just wonder if anybody else has heard that, seen that, and if so, has anybody called the police, or has there been any action? Just wanted to bring it up.
All right, Mark. Let's see when we get to the police report and the agenda. We'll see if if Julie's here, Officer Dratt. If not, perhaps Mark Schaefer can shed some light on how we might deal with that.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so yes, that brings us, I gotta see if Officer Dratt is here. I think maybe she's not. Maybe she, well.
Yeah, there she is.
Oh, is she? Okay, good. What is the screen name?
iPhone.
Oh, that's why I'm having trouble. Could we wait? Okay, unmute.
There we go.
There you are. Welcome.
Yay. Thank you. So it's my turn?
Yes, it is. Thank you for being here.
Well, good evening. I know it's been a while since I've seen most of you. Sorry, I know we've been a little busy. Before I get to other work things, I really want to say thank you to the community for those that have reached out to us, whether you've stopped us, when we're out and about and thanked us and thank you cards or dropped snacks by the station. I just want to say thank you. We really, really appreciate the support. I know it's just tough for everybody. So on to the police stuff. I will, before I answer the tunnel question, just going on to kind of what's been going on across our division in general, just because with COVID and more people staying home, there have been more vehicle break-ins, more stolen vehicles. However, residential burglaries are down because, more people are home. So however, that's to be looked at, but just a kind friendly reminder that if vehicles are getting broken into, please remember to report it. So if there might be video evidence, if somebody has video surveillance outside the home or a suspect leaves something in the vehicle, please make sure to file a police report by calling the non-emergency number. If your vehicle is broken into, however, there is no video surveillance, no evidence to be collected, you should be able to file a police report online using the reporting system that way. Regarding the tunnel, are we referring to the tunnel that's over by the electrical? And if that is the tunnel, I just want to make sure we're talking about the same one. Anyone confirm that for me? And the reason I ask is I know we've had issues. Say again?
Yeah, sorry, you were a little garbled when you were asking about which specific tunnel.
Yeah, the tunnel that I'm aware of that we're having some issues is the one that's by the elementary school. So I just want to make sure if that is the tunnel in reference.
No, the one that I'm talking about is basically right next to Ted Williams Parkway. And if you know where Walden is, so Highland Ranch Road coming away from like Home Depot, right? And then it goes into Ted Williams Parkway, and then you go down into Walden. So there's actually two tunnels right there, right? There's one that goes under Ted Williams and would take you into or out of the holes that are in Walden. But then there's another one that crosses Highland Ranch Road right there, right next to Ted Williams. Okay. And it's that tunnel right there.
Okay. So it sounds like we're talking about different ones. So I haven't heard the issues, I guess, on the one that you're referencing. So I will have to.
Uh-oh.
We lost your audio.
Looks like we lost iPhone.
Well, we'll give her a second to see if she comes back.
There she is. You might have to unmute
Oh
her.
yeah, gotta unmute again. Her audio isn't connected just yet. Officer Drat, you might have to, there might be one more button you have to push on your side to join the audio. I don't see an audio feed from you. There we go. I think we should be able to hear you now. Although, oh no, okay, unmute. So now you should have an unmute request. I'm clicking unmute. There's probably hopefully something that pops up on your end that is asking you to unmute. I'm clicking unmute and nothing's happening on her. She went away again. She's got I think we've got some signal strength issues there. And if she comes back, I will suggest maybe she kill the video to give the audio every bit of bandwidth that she's got. Oh, there she is.
you hear okay?
Sort of.
Okay. Can you hear now?
It's we hear something, but it's not good.
Still not working?
Oh, that's better. Yeah, it's your audio is going bad again. Maybe if you could possibly type the response that you're trying to give into the chat, I could read it. Or if it's easier, well, yeah, if you could type it in the chat, maybe. Okay, we'll keep an eye out for Officer Drat, and if we can get her back, we'll hear from her, and if she can hear me and type the answer into the chat, I can read it. But we, yeah, somebody suggesting moving to a different spot and turning the video off. It's signal issues.
So
Esther,
Eric,
what? Hello? Yes.
hi, Esther here.
Yeah.
So the reason I had asked you to unmute me is because I actually wanted to make just a general comment under the public comments non-agenda items.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
We're batting out of order, but is that okay?
Go ahead. Yeah, we gotta go with the
I just
flow.
wanted to share with the group that you know, every area has a planning group like ours. So, you know, Mira Mesa, Scripps Ranch, La Jolla, all those other areas. So I've been sitting in on those meetings, you know, either Eric or I take a turn sitting in at those meetings where everybody's there and the people from planning are there. And I just wanted to share that everyone in every community is feeling the same way we are. They're feeling that the builders are the only ones putting solutions in front of the city, that the communities are being ignored or not listened to. So we're not alone. And of course, a lot of people are suggesting, you know, talk to your council member, talk to your people, this, that, and the other. And I voiced that Carmel Mountain Ranch has been going through the process, has done all the right things, and we're still kind of feeling ignored because, and particularly with the trying to put a, what's that saying, a round peg in a square hole at the former Park and Ride. So I just wanted to share that we're not alone in how we feel about how things are being done. And so as a group, as a bigger group, we're trying to see how that can be changed or modified, or, you know, how they can actually take a look at the communities and see what fits, what doesn't. You know, there's the same issue with the park and with the transit station. There are other areas that same situation as ours. It's not really a commutable area. It's not, there's no bus service really, but because it's there or because there's a bus line, they're being thrown, things are being thrown at them. So anyway, just want to throw that out there. And there are a lot of bills that come out from state, and then bill numbers get changed, wording gets changed, something gets pulled out. So really, it's not an easy process, and we're really thankful that we have so many people on top of all these things that are going on that affect us. But there's also a lot of other things going on that are really confusing for the public. And I don't know, is it by design? But anyway, so that's where things stand in the bigger picture. So we're not alone. And I just wanted to share that from yesterday's meeting.
Yes, thank you. Yes, either Esther or I attend the larger meetings of all the planning group chair people, and typically we hear a lot of the same stuff going on in every community. We're unique.
Can I add to that a little bit?
Well,
Or do you want me to, I can.
let's yeah, sure, why not?
Well, just really quick.
Yeah.
I sent an email to you, and I was just made aware that, you know, Mayor Faulkner is now trying to put together some reviewing of, I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but it's a way to get pushed through community development with developers now, and not have as much, the community groups would not have as much say, and these would be all non-discretionary. So in other words, we really wouldn't even have to look at them, because they wouldn't be allowing us to look at them. And that is in the works. And I've heard about this about 2 weeks ago from an environmental planner friend of mine. He was telling me that this was coming. And it's to try to move along development, make it more friendly, but also to get out of the red tape and barrage they're taking a beating at from, I guess, some of the community groups. But that's, anyway, that's it.
Yes, that is definitely been going on, and they want to snuff us out because we're making trouble, essentially, as far as they're concerned. They being the city and their
and the builders.
Well, yeah, developers. Okay, so I mean, this topic will and can definitely come up again later in the meeting when we're talking about the golf course, I'm sure. So let's move on to, okay, now.
Hey, Eric.
Yes.
Sorry, can you hear me okay now?
Officer Dratt?
Yes, can you hear me
Yes.
okay?
Oh, yeah, well, we hear you better for sure.
Okay, sorry, I was trying to send messages. I just didn't know if they were going through.
I got your last one about the looking into the tunnel issue and following up. If anyone else has questions, please email you. That's the
I'm thinking that might be the best way since I'm having connectivity issue.
You sound pretty good now.
Oh, okay. If anyone has any questions for me, I'd be happy to try to answer.
Yeah, are there any other questions aside from the tunnel for Officer Dratt? I'm looking for raised hands and I'm looking for comments in the chat. I don't see any other questions, so we'll get your email out to anyone who has concerns or questions about that tunnel. Obviously, that's a big concern if we got people living in that thing, and it's also been brought up as a concern as it relates to the upcoming development. But more immediately, I guess the homeless issue would be something that you might be able to help us with.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll look into it and we'll follow up.
Okay, thank you so much. And you definitely sound a lot better now. Thanks for working on that, and sorry for the trouble.
That's okay, thank you, and I apologize. We'll see you all next time.
No need for apologies. Thank you very much, officer. Right. Okay, so do we have anyone from CMR Fire? I've got to redouble my efforts to get somebody from Fire here next time, so that I know a lot of people probably have questions about golf course maintenance and fire issues, but we don't have anybody here tonight. Anybody from Senator Brian Jones' office? No. I saw Rick. Rick was here. Rick Houtfield. Rick Houtfield from Assemblyman Mainshine's office. You are unmuted.
Good evening, everybody. Eric, I don't have a lot this evening. First of all, I hope you guys are safe and well. The summer recess, the legislators had a summer recess that got extended due to a number of positive cases in the Capitol. The legislators' return to the Capitol will be determined, again, by the Speaker and the President Pro Tem of the Senate. You guys can imagine that our office and basically every elected office has been dealing a lot with unemployment benefits. I take on the lion's share of the ones in our office, and I can tell you that it keeps me busy a lot. The only thing I wanted to reemphasize with you guys is if you have anybody in your neighborhood, everybody that you can tell about this, have them give us a call. We have good resources, good information, good connections. So please, you might see it on Nextdoor. Eric, anybody, any of the community leaders there, you may see it on Nextdoor, somebody reaching out. Please have them contact us. It doesn't have to be just EDD and benefits. It can be DMV. There's a strange reopening process and then reclosing process going on with the DMV and other state offices. We can at least provide the most updated information and try to get people, well, the right resources. So I'm going to add my email and our office phone number to the chat, and that's about it for me. Do you have anything?
Thank you, Rick. Does anyone have any questions directly for Rick via Brian Mainshine? Looking for raised hands, looking for questions in the chat. And at this point, Rick, I'm seeing none, but if somebody comes in with something, we'll definitely jump back to you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here, and tell Brian we send our best. Okay. I don't know if
that's it for me, and I'll
okay, Rick, your audio is cutting out there. Is anybody who's unmuted, is my audio okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a problem originating from the call source, I guess. It's just we've got lots of technology interacting here, and it doesn't always work smoothly. Okay, so you cut out for a while. Oh, Ryan says I cut out for a while for him. John will come back to you on Brian's letter during his report. Your screen is freezing and audio is cutting out for me, says John. Well, hopefully that stops. Okay, so I'm looking for Anthony George from Supervisor Gaspar's office. I don't see him here. Does anybody see him in the, I don't see him in the participant list. Okay, other people are telling me that there's problems with me cutting out. Hopefully that goes away. Let me check something here and see if I can determine.
You're fine right now.
Okay. Yeah, according to this, I'm pinging away, so hopefully no more problems. Okay, Mark Schaefer. Mark Schaefer, I'm gonna get to you and unmute you. Mark Schaefer is with Council Member Mark Kersey's office.
Okay. All right. Can you hear me? Okay. So first off, some of the comments about the access to documents, I would agree with you in saying not a good response. I know Alan Hahn had reached out on this. The process for reviewing them, because right now they're preliminary proprietary documents, the only way is to go to see them in person at DSD. So they are telling me they're trying to work a process for people to access them as they were before, while still complying with public health rules. It's not a good answer, but it's what they have told us. And Unfortunately, in our role, we can't direct a city staff member to do something. So I apologize, but we're still trying to work on how that can happen in the future. Also, the flag issue that was brought up, actually the Waters Management actually brought up the flag issue with the Carmel Mountain Ranch sign. Determined that actually is the golf course, former golf course owner, Wang, who's responsible for that. Which brings me to the other thing, kind of an update on the code enforcement issue. They did do a walkthrough on the 24th of June, and they were found still in violation of 4 items. Let me grab them here real quick. First was the violation of installing erosion and sedimentation control measures. What many of the residents have emailed our office and we're still sending over to them is the maintenance of the property in accordance with a maintenance program plan that was given them. Repairing, replacing the damaged chain link fences, which they have not completed, and implementing and maintaining stormwater best management practices. So they are pursuing further action with the property owner on those code violations. I have a message into Kim Wallace on that, who I guess is Joe Zamello's superior, trying to see what the timeline of next steps are going to be in the future. So thank you everyone who has sent in the issues that are going on with the golf course. And it's still an active code enforcement case for the community. So that's kind of the big update, and open to any questions you all may have.
Okay, any questions for Mark Schaefer? Well, Kurt had a question. Oh, it looks like it's in here for everyone can see. Can you, or maybe I wasn't paying attention. Did you say something about Mayor Faulkner's project review changes? Can you shed any light on that?
No more than what has been brought up at, I know at your CPC meetings. Nothing before council has been brought forward for any changes.
Okay.
But I'm aware of the push that's probably been about 4 years happening.
And then regarding, there's a question from Marty and Bob Bieksha about weed abatement. Is that that process ongoing still?
Yeah, they're still in violation of that.
Okay.
That's part of their property maintenance program plan that they had, or they had with code enforcement, that that they're in violation of. On the flag thing, I can reach out to the property owner on it, but it is code enforcement that is not part of code enforcement, the flag replacement, because I asked that.
Right. And then somebody, Mark Mal is asking if the city can bring legal action to force the owner to comply, and I believe that's what is happening with the code enforcement.
Yeah, it's a process.
Yeah.
They're given opportunities, so give them enough rope.
Yes, right. And then Harold is saying that he saw some people doing weed abatement on hole 9. I saw some people over here near hole 7 today. They're doing stuff, folks, but
so I think with the last, Eric, what you're saying with the last review that they got, I think they know the city is serious about the maintenance that needs to be done.
Well, hopefully that's hopefully that gets them off the block. And then regarding the flags, I guess we'll find out.
And then I did want to add one. I forgot one more thing. It's more of a citywide thing, but it's kind of I would say a good thing with the recent spike and the closures of dine-in. The development services is working out outdoor dining in parking lots and parking spaces, so restaurants can continue to serve on site. and suspending some of the fees and everything that they're doing in that process. So trying to keep businesses moving in our community.
Good. Brian, I see you've typed fairly
Yes.
lengthy.
Okay.
Do you see that, Mark?
Yes.
So can you respond, or
okay.
I would imagine you're still reading it.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm following up with them, but yes, thank you. I'm going to see what that timeline is for it. But
okay.
That definitely, when I initially asked them an update, what you're bringing up is part of what ultimately can happen. Correct, Brian.
Brian, do you need me to unmute you to follow up on that, or is that that's a no? Okay.
Cool.
Just
Thank you, Brian.
Just sharing. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, I don't see any other questions specifically directed at you right now. Mark, are you going to be hanging around for the rest of the meeting?
Oh yeah, I'm around till adjournment.
Okay, good. Yeah, we may need to come back to you at some point. Okay, any representative from Mayor Faulkner's office? I'm guessing no, but maybe I'll be surprised. No, okay. And Tony Kempton or anybody with City of San Diego Planning Department. I don't see anybody in the participant list, but if there is a Planning Department representative present, please signify, either raise your hand in the participant list or in the chat. I don't think we have anybody here from planning tonight. Congressman Scott Peters rep, I'm assuming no. Okay. All right. Well, that brings us then to the Alante Park and Ride Subcommittee Chairman's report. I'm going to unmute Brian, and I don't believe there's Brian. I guess we probably don't have much new on this, right?
Yeah, nothing new. Thanks for the comments, folks. Appreciate it. And yeah, the only reason I had to write it at night is because I'm so busy during the day. And
yeah.
Turns out that I had a holiday on Thursday last week that I didn't even know about. I'm like, well, I don't have any meetings. So that was my opportunity to write it. I think my lights burned out. Oh, it works. I might be able to see me. So anyway, there's somebody who was asking about the letter in there. Let me just explain kind of what that's about. So last month, there was a vote by the main committee to make a recommendation to the Planning Commission to deny the project as it's proposed. So the project that we saw proposed to us was, 50 units in a 70+ foot building, 4 stories above the existing parking garage. And quite frankly, that just does not meet, it's not a fit. So as part of the official submission, there's a form that gets filled out from the community, that's a community planning group form that documents how the votes were. And there's a little section in there that gives you like maybe half a page-ish to kind of explain what are the issues with the project. And then you can also attach additional pages. So the part in the key takeaways is really the part to fit within that little segment. And that's probably what most people are gonna read. And then the rest of it is some detail that's behind what those points are. For those folks who haven't read it, I'll give you just the recap, if I can get it to come up on my screen, from the key takeaways.
Ryan, can I interject here and ask you a question?
Yeah.
We circulated that letter, correct? I mean, I've sent out so many emails and so many different attachments over the last couple of weeks. I'm claiming in the chat that went out to the community. That is the case, right? We shared that.
It definitely has gone out via the newsletter you sent.
Yeah.
And then CMR United sent a copy.
Right.
I haven't talked to the HOA to know if they're going to share anything with it.
Okay. Well,
if anybody wants it, happy to share.
Absolutely. There's no subterfuge going on here. We had plenty of meetings and took everybody's input into consideration on that response to the city on that project. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no problem. So yeah, timing is just because life is busy, and we were told to get it in by end of last week. So
yeah, the city doesn't give us much time to do that.
Yeah, so I wanted to add some more substance to some of the discussions that we made. So there's some land use. There's a land use guide that needs to be followed, and within there's certain criteria that a project needs to meet. There was 3 criteria that they needed for initiation, and then for this next round, there's some additional criteria. So this letter kind of goes through, bullet by bullet of what that criteria is and how the project does not align to that criteria. So the key, kind of the top 4 reasons why is incompatibility with the community plan, especially the height, bulk, and transition between surrounding areas. Number 2, the benefit of the existing land use is a parking garage, especially as overflow parking for the rec center that will definitely have more use as there's more development in surrounding areas. Right? We know there's a lot of stuff going on across the freeway over in Penasquitos that's already in progress. The lack of walkability to grocery shopping, job centers, and schools, which does not align with the City of Village's strategy. The lack of high quality transit options. So the Sabre Springs Transit Center, it is a park and ride designed for carpoolers and downtown workers with very specific schedules, right? It does not offer a variety of routes and high frequency to meet the criteria for being a major transit stop that is needed to be designated as a TPA. So the transit priority area. And that whole transit priority area designation is the root cause of why we're seeing so much density being pushed into this community in places where it doesn't make sense. Our community plan says that the density and height and things like that belong in the town center, which is effectively Carmel Mountain Road, right? This transit center has 3 bus routes. And in order to be considered a major transit center, you need to have at least 2, let me see where to go here. The intersection of 2 or more major bus routes with a frequency of service of 15 minutes or less during the morning and afternoon peak periods. So I looked at the bus routes, the standard bus routes, not the COVID adjusted bus routes. And just bus 235 that goes downtown roughly every 15 minutes. The other bus, which is pretty much the same route, ranges from 25 to 50 minutes apart, but there's only 5 of them in the morning. So between 5:07 and 8:17 a.m. And coming home, I forgot to put the departure times, but the first arrival is 3:35 and the last arrival is 6:05. So you can imagine you've got to be off of work and at the bus stop by about 4:30, well, about 5 o'clock to get on the bus to go home. So it's not a viable option for that particular bus. The 235 is more frequent. And then the other one goes down Sabre Springs over Poway Road to Walmart and a couple of stops. So, just the definition of what a major transit stop is, it does not fit that. Could they add more bus routes? Possibly. Would people use them? Probably not. So, it was built to be a park and ride designed for carpool. And so that's one of the key things about this is not truly a TPA. Rancho Bernardo is in the same situation. It's located right off the freeway near all industrial area. There's no actual housing around that transit priority area. So that's just one of the major issues, right? Outside of the obvious that 76-foot building makes no sense right up against the street with 50 parking spots for 50 units, all those other issues that we raised. And the City of Villages, the walkability. The City of Villages is also extremely important, right? Because that at the end of the day, they want people out of cars. And if bus is not an option and they jump in an Uber, that's still a car, right? If you want to build smart, build where the density and the shopping and everything else is. So that's, in a nutshell, what the letter says. And if you haven't seen it, we're happy to share.
Yes, that's a piece of work that Brian, you should be extremely proud of, and I don't think it could have been any more detailed than it was in terms of why the board voted not to recommend to the Planning Commission that they approve that project. So if anybody needs a copy, please email me. If you don't have my email, it's edelmanrealty@gmail.com. I will send you a copy. We are happy and proud to share that with anyone and everyone, and it will be part of the city staff report, which eventually becomes public record. Correct, Brian?
Yeah. So this is the official staff report that that Xavier is pulling together.
Yeah.
So the Planning Commission is the first hearing, which we think is July 23rd. That's what we were told. I think it might end up being on July 30th, but don't quote me on that. Just keep an eye on the agenda site. The site said, like, here's a place to upload content for July 30th. So I'm not quite clear on that, but we've been told the 23rd, which means I got to get a presentation done this weekend to get that submitted early. On that point, there has been, a lot of talk of people submitting 200-word comments to the Planning Commission, and they need to have those ahead of time, right, so that they have a chance to absorb them ahead of the hearing. So the CMR United folks are driving that, and then they have the instructions for how that works. The actual hearing itself is going to be a teleconference. So any presentations that need to be submitted in advance. I think that it's about a week in advance. It might be as short as 3 days, but I'm going to say a week. And then they're going to drive the slides. So no pretty animations, no videos, right? Just kind of keep it simple and keep it short, because it's only 3 minutes per person. If you want to pool time together, right? You can pool 2, 3, 4 people and hope that they give you the 3 minutes per person to get up to like 12 minutes, but don't count on it. So we will be the last item on the agenda. So, the other projects ahead of it don't have to wait, and we'll see how it goes. So it is going to be, like I said, a teleconference. It won't be Zoom. It's going to be literally dial-in. So don't know what time of day. The meeting starts at 9. It could be anytime between 9 and noon or 9 and 1, depending upon how long the things ahead of us are. So stay tuned, and news will go out as we get updates.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Okay, any other questions for Brian regarding the Alante subcommittee? Did I miss anything, Brian? We good?
I provided my update. I hopefully answered questions.
I think I
wasn't sure if it was a question or a comment.
I messaged him privately. He says he's good. He's got it.
Okay.
So
I've got a question for Brian.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Kurt.
Kurt. So Brian, do you need help with or somebody to help pool your minutes? Like, do you need people to sign up so that we can give you our minutes so you can have more time, 3 minutes? Or
yeah, that's what I got to coordinate. My plan is to try to break it down into 3-minute chunks. So like a chunk on TPA, a chunk on City of Villages, a chunk on height, a chunk on parking, and then have content that fits each one of those, so that it could be broken down either by multiple people or pulled together, and then with supporting images.
So,
Brian, I'm sorry, go ahead, Kurt.
Understand, we have to send in a request to talk, and then in that request say that we're transferring our minutes to Brian Hollingsworth. That's
a great
It'd just be good
question.
to know that.
Yeah, I'll ask the person who helps coordinate the meetings what we need to do there, to make sure that we're set up.
Brian, do you see the need for any?
Let me know.
Sorry, Kurt, I stepped on you.
No, I just said for Brian to let us know.
Okay. Brian, do you see any need for
this committee?
I stepped on you again, Kurt.
I think I have a delay or something.
Yeah, there's something going on, but I was gonna ask Brian if he sees the need or utility in having a subcommittee meeting prior to the Planning Commission hearing, so that we can get our ducks in a row in a public meeting, or I think we could probably we can probably get this organized via email. I mean, our position is out there. I don't think we're violating any Brown Act rules by talking about what we've already published. And maybe Mark, I don't know. What do you think, Brian?
I'm happy to schedule a meeting to review it. Just to, keep it out there. And I think also, folks are going to have more input, right? Everything in there is stuff that we've talked about in the public meetings. It's just organizing it all. So so we did all that.
Right.
And as the presentation comes together with some of the images that have been shared, I think that there's folks that can contribute to that. So I would welcome that. So we'll see. Maybe it's on the 23rd. I'll work out the timeline, but maybe sometime next week.
Right. Okay. Good. We'll discuss potentially having a meeting offline, and I may have to ask whether or not. Well, my only concern is that we do it, above board and without Brown Act violations. So we definitely need to get organized, and like I said, I think we can do it amongst ourselves with email, since the stuff we're talking about is already out there, but I'll verify that with the proper authorities. Nobody wants to get sued. And well, never mind. I'm going to reserve. I won't say any more than that. Let's just say that the developer is very interested in what we're up to, I think. So, all right. Thank you, Brian. Much appreciated. And I don't think Rick Smith, our golf course subcommittee chairman, is with us, and he has challenges with Zoom and his wife having health issues. I don't see Rick Smith in here. If anybody sees Rick's screen name, let me know and I'll unmute him. But on the agenda tonight, I put the golf course subcommittee report would either be he or I. And I'm kind of going to defer that report to our action items because it was in my email that I sent out about this meeting, and it was discussed at the subcommittee meeting last week that the golf course subcommittee voted to recommend to the full panel, the full board, that we take a specific position and notify the city regarding this trails project, golf course development, New Urban West project, whatever you want to call it. And we do have a very specific letter that's been written, and we're going to discuss that when we get to our action items. And that's actually the next thing on the agenda. So we'll just go ahead and slide right into that. Okay, so the letter was circulated to everyone on the board and has not been circulated to the community yet because it is not yet approved by the board. So this letter is being developed and written as we speak, and we're going to talk about it tonight, and then if there's community input on it tonight, we'll definitely hear it, and assuming that the board approves what's written, we'll send it to the Trails project manager and everyone else at the city with an email address tomorrow. If there are going to be additions, changes, edits, whatever, we'll have to deal with that as they come up. So at this point, I think would probably make sense to go to Kurt. Kurt, are you unmuted? Yeah,
yes, I am.
You are. Yeah, hopefully your audio sounds good now. Hopefully it'll hold up. What do you think the best way to get the discussion on the letter going is? I guess maybe just go down the list and let people weigh in.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay that the letter has been distributed to this group, right?
To the board members, yes. Yes, it has. So I'm gonna
start out, which
sorry, there's that delay again. I'm gonna be quiet for 30 seconds and wait to hear what you said.
so, you know, just to let everybody know, if you didn't know, last week, you know, I give a presentation of some items that we've been talking about the last 15, 18 months. And it was documented into a sort of a simple, too much, too tall, too close, too non-transparent items. And then there were under each one of those items, we went into detail as to key points about each of those items of why we objected to the New Urban West project. And then we also, after doing that, we went through some red line comments on the New Urban West design guidelines. So those were also out there as well. And that's been shared. And I think, you know, there's some things that I would like to add to that letter. One of the things that I feel pretty strongly about is that, you know, this project called the Trails, and we need to kind of, one item would be to use that as a linchpin to the project, and that has to be built first. The trails and the landscape buffers together need to be built first. So what that would do, we still want the 100-foot buffer. You know, we'll fight for that as much as we can get, see what we get. But I feel like that is a fair request, just based on, you know, the way that our apartments are built around our community. There's substantial buffers between them and the single-family homes. And there was a strategy on how those apartments were built and placed within our community. And so that's kind of the gist of it. And as far as talking about it, I mean, I'd like to add that item to it, but maybe I'd like to hear input from each of the members in our board, hear their thoughts too.
Yes. Okay. Well, that being the case, I'm going to go down the roster and give everyone a chance to comment. And then I'm not gonna make any comments on that letter because I'm gonna give other people a chance first, and I'm gonna be in agreement with pretty much whatever board members have to say. Mark Mal says 0% development on the golf course property. Keep the plan. We understand that, and like I've said over and over again, there are others in the community like Mark and CMR United and others who are working to keep the plan and have zero development. Unfortunately for us, we're chartered by the city and asked to work with the developer on the project. And so what we're trying to do is by taking a position with the city, we're trying to establish what our parameters for our group being able to accept this project would be. And that's where we're taking a pretty strong position in terms of number of units. We're saying that if the project came back with 200 to 250 units, we might be able to support it. And as Kurt mentioned, 100-foot buffers, building trails first. Basically, there's a lot of detail in there. So I'm going to go to Esther and ask her first. After reviewing the letter, do you have any comments, additions, changes, things you'd like to?
No, I totally agree with everything that's being stated and the concerns that the community has. And I mean, we're all on the same page on this. I don't think there's any argument to be had. Right.
And then, yes, Alan, the letter will be addressed to New Urban West as well. I mean, it has to, from us to the project manager, whether they're whether they're addressed or, I mean, yes, we can add them as an addressee, I think. I don't see any problem with that. And that's definitely been the plan all along. Ryan, are you there? I'm going to unmute you.
Yes, I am here.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, so I read this letter last night. I tried to read it again before this meeting. I do think the letter does a pretty good job at 6 pages with lots of bullet points to summarize, what the community objectively as much as possible feel about the project and ways to go about smart development, right? And I think that's key points, right? So there's a lot of great points in here. It's organized. It gives examples of what we need and why, and some of the challenges that we are facing, and even trying to get those across and get feedback from that, right? So I fully support and agree.
Okay, thank you. Dan, where'd you go? I'm gonna find Dan. Dan Thompson, unmute. Dan,
Yeah, good evening. I agree with everything David else has said. That's about all I have. I don't have any change to add to it.
good, thank you. All right, John Chu, I'm gonna come back to you and we'll see if your audio is better.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are.
All right, so I'm not sure what was going on before.
Well, you're loud and clear now.
In regards to the letter, I agree with pretty much most of it. I think there could be some additional emphasis, or not emphasis, but background data, how you came up with the numbers of units. I saw that you compared it to some other golf courses, but it didn't really kind of explain how you got up that number. And then I think the other spot was, oops, wrong page here, was regard to the landscape buffer. Is that also comparable to other neighborhoods? Because I don't think the city requires 100-foot buffers either. So it'd be good to explain how you came up with the 100-foot number. And that was it.
Okay. Kurt, do you have is that a number that came from somewhere, or is that just our dream number?
How did New Urban West come up with 1,200 units? I think it's a numbers game. I think it's, the Stone Ridge Country Club, they're doing 159 units on, whatever the acreage there is. I don't have that. I couldn't find that data. Some of the data was hard to find. The Escondido project had 109 acres, and they're doing 380 homes with a number of mixed venues of housing, condos and two-story buildings. Nothing like 3- and 4-story that we're having to deal with on our community. The Doubletree developer Junipers across the street, it's 114 acres. They have 536 homes. So, coming up with that 200, 250 number is, in reality is there's probably going to be some negotiating going on, potentially, maybe not. Maybe they just tell us to go fish. But the whole idea is to get them to respond. And if you don't give them something, I couldn't tell you to reduce it to 1,000 for a good reason, except that I hate it. And so, 200, if you pick 200, you pick 300. If you pick the halfway point, I'm trying to pick, well, if there's a halfway point, we maybe can deal with 650 versus 1,200. So you've got to start somewhere. As far as the buffer areas, landscape buffers, if you've driven around and looked at the landscape buffers that we have, there are some substantial buffers. A lot of them are sloped situations, so the grounds are terraced, which happens to be one of the key points in you read the letter, it's in there about how they're building like on unit 9 and 18, or, you know, behind by the clubhouse. They're just building it right on flat ground. They're not terracing it, reducing it down. They're plopping it on top of the topography. They're not following or blending, trying to blend with the topography at all. So the landscape buffer would be to make up, if they decided to keep that. You know, there's also the issue with the trails and how they're going to be built. And so it appears to me that based on the bait and switch tactics that they were throwing in for a 50-foot landscape buffer they were offering actually ends up being really 15 when they want to use the waiver that they built into their own design guidelines, which allows them to cut it back down to minimum 15 feet. But you can't even stick a tree in there. So I feel pretty confident about being able to talk about it, but I don't know if they're going to be listening. Take examples of some of those other developments. I suppose I could, or we could do that. I could sure use some help.
Good. Okay. Harold says he thinks the Escondido Country Club ended up with 75-foot buffers. Okay, so I'm gonna move down the roster here. John Chu says he can send some numbers for units per acre.
But I guess the question that was raised in previous meetings, Eric, was that, you know, how do we determine the density? I mean, they're proposing a different zone and change. And, you know, I agree with Mark's comment earlier about 0% development of the golf course, keep it planned, but we have to come back with something intelligent, try to put a kink in this project as best we can.
Yeah.
And
if
you know,
yeah,
if that's reducing it, if that's making them build more parks, build more open space, you've got to have the mentality to do that. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm a landscape architect. I know how these games play with these developers. You know, they're trying to keep their maintenance costs down. And, you know, frankly, you know, we've had a golf course in our backyard, those of us that are, some of us, and I think that it's nothing, you know, to go from 300 feet to 100 feet or 75 feet is better than 15 feet.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree with what you said there. I mean, all of us would love. I mean, we want the golf course to have never gone away, but the golf course is gone. It's not coming back as a golf course. It's just, it's evident, and unless there's some, you know, miracle cure for watering a golf course that, and now it's been let go to the point where it would cost a new owner millions and millions of dollars to bring it back, and it's not. It's golf course is unfortunately gone unless there's some other miracle that comes along. And for us to just take a zero development position, the city's going to turn around and feed this thing to us with a fire hose. So you're right. We've got to take some sort of intelligent position, which is what we're attempting to do here. And so anyway, that's my comment on that. So moving on to the next. Okay, Rich is next on the roster. Let me find him and make sure he's unmuted. There he is. Well, I see him right there.
Hi, I'll make it easy. I just, I think this is fine. There's just one or two words I wouldn't use, but overall, I mean, like for example, boondoggle, I wouldn't use the word boondoggle. But other than that, the content is great. It covers pretty much everything we've all discussed and we're concerned about. So I like it.
Good, thank you. And then John, oh, let me get to John. John Schroeder, I'm unmuting you. John is. Whoop.
Here he comes.
There it is. You're muted, Eric.
Okay, I don't know what happened there, folks. That just blip, Zoom went away, and then the little wheel started spinning, and I didn't touch anything, hoping it would come back, and here it is. I'm sorry about that. John, I'm unmuting you.
Okay.
I pause 1 second though, John. I want to see if this is still okay. Says it's recording, says we're live on Facebook. So fingers crossed that's all still working. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Yes, I'm a member of the golf course subcommittee, so I had a hand in compiling this record. Kurt did the letter. Kurt did most of it, but we all put our thoughts into it and helped polish it up. You know, I think I have some answers to these questions about how did we arrive at these numbers? How can we compare this to Escondido Golf Course, the Doubletree Golf Course? Well, we're not the Escondido Golf Course or the Doubletree Golf Course. Those are large pieces of land produced by fairways that run, you know, right up against each other like this. So you can go into those places and create a small neighborhood or a couple of streets or cul-de-sacs. So to look at those and feel guilty that we're proposing something a lot less than those golf courses, I think is not the way to be looking at it. So what I recall, what I look at to arrive at some numbers is what the Planning Commission mentioned last year. And I talked about some of this last week, and I'm going to repeat some of it now, and if it's redundant to some of you, I apologize, but I'd like my fellow board members to hear this and also other people in the audience as well. As you recall, we voted against the initiation, but the Planning Commission said, no, we want you to do it. So they basically told us, no, we want to see what the developer comes back with. The Planning Commission said they're open to development. So here we are. But,
yes.
But they voted only 5-1 in favor. There was one person who was against it, and that's the vice chairman. And he talked about how this is a difficult development opportunity with strips of land snaking through the community. He said it would be difficult to get his vote at a plan that chops it up into little development pieces. He said, quote, "This doesn't make sense." There was another commissioner, Commissioner Otsuji, who worked on about half of Carmel Mountain Ranch back in the 80s or late 70s when it was being planned. And he said, quote, "The golf course was designed as part of the neighborhood more than anything else." He said there's 167 acres, and my expectation is going to be that, in parentheses, and hopefully it's going to be lower than this, that you only develop 20 to 40% and leave the rest of it open space. Commissioner Whalen, he recognized how it's a difficult project to develop long, narrow strips snaking through the community. He was disappointed that the developer, or the owner, I should say, wasn't communicating at all with the community. Commissioner Austin, he was weighing the concerns of open space here in this community versus the city's housing shortage. And he mentioned the challenge of developing narrow strips. He said he'd like to see the developer to create a solution that would provide housing, but also keep open space. He mentioned, hey, 300 units could be put on 10 acres. So his quote was, "You come back with something that just gobbles up those fairways, doesn't provide buffers, is not creative, and doesn't allow for housing where the biggest need is in middle income, you're not going to get approved." And my fifth and last quote is from Commissioner Matthew Boomhauer. And he said he wants to see starter housing as well, but he said, "Be prepared to show us every step along the way how you engaged with the community. You've got to show us that you've been working in good faith." So to summarize what I heard from that meeting last year, I heard keep 60 to 80% or more as open space. And these were demands of the developer. These were expectations that they were telling the developer. Jonathan Frankel was right there at the meeting. A quote, don't gobble up those fairways. Don't chop it up into little development pieces. There was the mention of 300 units. So I'm looking at those comments. I'm not looking at Escondido Golf Course. I'm not looking at Doubletree. I'm looking at the expectations that the Planning Commission gave the developer last year at this Planning Commission meeting. Now, they said they wanted some development here. So I also agree that we have to work with them somehow. I feel that if we don't give our input, the city's just going to go and design it for us. So I think it's appropriate that we say what we want and have confidence in saying what we want, because 600, 900, 1,200 units is not what I heard last year at the Planning Commission meeting. So I don't think we have to make ours look like Escondido, because we're a totally different situation with these narrow strips of land. So that's my thought on the matter. I think 200 to 250 is entirely appropriate when you consider all the comments that we have in the letter. It really leaves only 200 to 250 units feasible. So I support the letter.
I appreciate you adding that context to it, John. That is important to consider. And what you said at the beginning about what we did initially was we opposed the initiation of this project. We were overruled on that. And I got to apologize when the Zoom glitch happened. I only have chat going from, I think, 7:50 p.m. on now. So I'm sure the chat log is saved somewhere, but my window is only showing 7:50 p.m. onward. So I mean, I'm seeing, why is reopening the golf course not a viable option? And please correct me if I'm wrong. It's not a viable option because the owner of the golf course doesn't want to operate it as a golf course and is selling it to a developer, and the city has told us we want some development here. So I mean, that's what the city is giving us to work with, and that's what the owner of the property is giving us to work with. This board has no power to force that guy to operate this thing as a golf course, and it's a completely unrealistic position for this board to take. And that's why we have CMR United. That's why we have other groups in the community that have the freedom to take whatever position they want and advocate whatever they want. They can hire attorneys. They can do whatever they want. And we don't necessarily oppose them doing that, but we have a specific job to do here, and we're doing it. Am I wrong, John, Kurt, anybody?
No, I think you stated it right. I mean, I would love to have zero development, and that's what I voted for a year ago.
Right.
But the city said, no, you're going to get some development.
Yeah.
So if we don't work with them, we're going to get only what they want and nothing that we want.
Right. And I mean, you could rewind this thing 30 years to that master plan that they came up with, and why there wasn't a provision in that master plan for watering that land. Reclaimed water was a thing back then. Water shortages were a thing back then. It's, water issues are nothing new. The city set this up for failure 30, 35 years ago as a golf course, unfortunately. And there was discussion years ago about purple pipe, toilet to tap, reclaimed water. And I don't remember who it was or where this came from, but I do recall at a council meeting years and years ago, because I've been on this council for years. My wife was on it before me. Kurt's been around for years. A lot of us I've been around a long time, and I recall somebody telling us that purple pipe, as they call it, reclaimed water, wasn't feasible here because it had to be brought across the free. There was some millions of dollars it was going to take to get that here. Maybe that's BS. I don't know, but it's water under the bridge at this point. Anyway, I'm not angry with community members for wanting to state these things and feel this way. I just have to interject, and we all have to interject the reality of the situation. And I think I've flogged that to death now. So I just don't want people to think that we're not listening to them when they say they don't want anything. We hear you. Okay, so John, I'm going to move on to the next person, if that's okay now. Yes, Mark Clark. I got to find you and unmute you. There you are.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good. Yeah, I definitely agree. A couple of points though that were made that just as nits. I think somebody said something about what the commissioner said about leaving 60 to 80% of open space. If I listened correctly to Jonathan Frankel, I believe they think that they have about, is it 70% that they've left of those as open space, right? So they think they've met that criteria. So I just would be careful in some of those things. I will tell you, when we talk about not wanting to be or not being able to be Escondido, I kind of understand that a little bit. I do, because the golf course topography is very different, right? With back-to-back fairways or side-by-side fairways, it's a lot easier. You have a lot more room. So even more so, but I think that's one of the things where people were thinking, oh, maybe we'll get like 350 in the worst case scenario, right? Because we were looking at Escondido and what this company, New Urban West, was doing with that, right? So you can actually start to see the homes now. I've actually looked them up. Right? Hopefully, I don't know if anybody else has, right? They were constructed by Lennar, it looks like, and they changed the name of the development from what New Urban West was calling it. And it's, they're single family homes. There might be one, I think, that looks like it's 3 stories high maybe, but everything's 2 stories, right? And, you could make a much better effort towards building things that are more conducive to the topography of our neighborhood, especially since these are thin pieces of land, right? I mean, it's like you're trying to, like I've said before, putting these homes and these amount of homes or whatever apartments in these areas is like trying to put the glass slipper on the ugly stepsister's foot, right? It's like, why are you shoving this in here? It's not a fit. And so completely agree with the 2-story, if they have to be some apartments and things like that. I think the sad thing is that the vast majority of these aren't going to actually be homes. And somebody could argue, well, hey, wherever you live, that's your home. But these aren't like places, like these aren't going to be condos and stuff like that. Mostly, Jonathan even admitted that the vast majority of these are going to be sold off as apartments, right? A condo is a much different type of resident, right, in terms of their ownership and their care, right? Renters versus buyers. You can walk through any of our communities, right? And I could guarantee you, I could go to any community in Carmel Mountain and look at houses that I don't even live near, and I could go down a row of a street and I could pick out the houses where there's renters there versus where somebody owns, right? We could all do it. And so why would we purposely want to bring a bunch of that into our community? That's not the kind of residents that we want. We want people who want to have pride of ownership. And you can do that with 2-story condos and with smart buildings. So I'm not saying much anything else that anybody else hasn't said, but I just think that initial shock, like when New Urban West tries to say that, yeah, they did work with us. Well, sure. And I appreciate them getting our feedback on all that. And they did on like our ideas of trails and this and that. But then they dropped a freaking bomb on us by basically, what was it initially? It was even more than 1,200, right?
They said they could fit 1,600, yeah.
Right. And it's like, oh, well, thanks for doing us the favor. We all in our minds, because of Escondido and because of their communication with us, we're thinking, I think all of us were thinking along the lines more of like 300 or so.
Absolutely.
350 or something like that. And so, yeah, they quote unquote worked with us, but I kind of feel like we kind of felt a little duped, right? It's like, yeah, we worked with you. We patted you on the head. All right, good little community. Yep. See, look how much we're working with you. We did these workshops. Look, we got your advice. Oh, you want natural landscapes. Okay, you want trails. Yeah, we'll do all that. Here's 1,200 homes in your community. So I agree with the letter. And that's all I'll say.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Michelle, I'm going to unmute. Michelle, there you are.
All right, thanks, Eric. So I agree with everything that has been stated so far, and I support the letter. I did a little bit of math, and I think as we're currently zoned, the agricultural 1-1, they could place 2 homes on the land. Am I correct with that?
Anybody? Kurt?
Could you repeat that again, Michelle?
Yeah, as we're currently zoned, could they, with the AR11, could they place 2 homes on the land? 1 per 10 acres, I believe.
Yeah, that's probably true.
That's correct? Okay. So what we're proposing is 200 times that. That feels fair to me. Also, what we're proposing is only 1/6 less than what they have proposed. So if we're talking about fairness and shock, what we're giving, I think, mathematically much, much more than we are asking for.
Yes. So one home per 10 acres. It's 117 acres, right?
Oh, is it? Okay. So I had that. So 11, 12. Let's say 12 homes.
Yeah, it's Brian. Brian makes the many parcels are less than 10 acres. Yeah, so I mean, that's
okay. Well,
a lot less
even if
than
we said 10, that's 12 times.
Right. Yeah, we're giving.
No.
Yeah.
120 times. It's a
right.
lot.
Yes,
right.
it is a
more.
A lot
Okay.
more than it's currently zoned for. Correct.
Right. All my other comments have already been stated by other members. I don't believe that I need to restate them. But
Okay.
Kurt, thank you very much. I'm much appreciative of your work and agree with all of the points that are in the letter.
Thank you, Michelle.
Mhm.
Okay, Joseph. Joseph Valencia, can you hear me? Oh, there you
Mayor.
are. Yes, go ahead, sir.
I think the letter was well written and I like it. I just have one item to say about that and another one on what Kurt said. The first thing is, yes, we're asking for a 100-foot buffer, but the developer is saying that by code, they are only required to put it 20 feet. And they're giving us 50. So how do we respond to that if they say it? If they say they're only required to put 50, and they're being nice with 20, they're being nice to us and giving us 50. But now we're asking 100. So are we asking too much that we know we would not get anyway? That's my first question. The other question, the other thing that I want to say is what Kurt said about putting in the landscaping first before the development. I don't really understand how you could do that. Normally, you put in the housing first, and then you put in the landscaping. Now you're asking for a reverse way of doing construction. Now, do you really think that that could happen? Okay. That's all I got.
Okay. I don't. Does anybody have any response to that?
Well, I mean, it's, I've worked on developments before where open space is allocated upfront because it's a special value to a development. And if what New Urban West has been proposing
Hi, baby.
on our first 17 meetings about parks,
Yeah.
open space, green belts, and so on and so forth, then I think we could make a case that, well, then let's put your money where your mouth is. Landscape buffer can't be 15 feet. And they can't count that as open space. The open space is, they could get more open space. We're actually giving them an opportunity to give us more open space than and again, Joe, they're not giving us 50 because it's going to be taken up by a lot of development in those areas where this clustered housing is going. And so I think the one thing that we are faced with is that, they might be saying that they're adhering to Commissioner Austin by, not spreading the development all over the place and putting it in one little area. And then look how good we are by providing you open space. But they're providing us open space on slopes and on hillsides and areas that we can't even use. And then on top of that, they're putting trails that are not ADA compliant. So, there's a lot of twists and turns in these little things. And I think you put the value on the open space up front, projects called the trails, let's see them, do that. But again, a 20-foot tree can't fit in 15 feet. And you got to have, those trees will be hanging over your fences. So I don't think we want that. I think we want something that's intelligently planned that works with the community and is a benefit to everybody.
Right. Okay. We're going to move on to Majid and Silva here. 1 second. Hi, Silva.
Hi. Kurt, I just want to thank you for working so hard, drafting the letter, the whole subcommittee. Really good points. I noticed that they're keeping the open space at AR1 zoning for, and I think they're doing that because then they can count all that into actual open space in their calculation. I asked them before and they said yes they are, but I've noticed they haven't, anything that is open, they're not changing the zoning on that. But thank you so much, I really appreciate it. I have nothing else to say.
One more thing that I want to add is, this is Majid. The whole thing is not going with our community plan. I mean that having a 1,200 rental, especially rental, is not, it doesn't go with the Carmel Mountain plan. It's just absolutely, I don't know how we're gonna phrase this, but that we can just consider that. But we know that the rental is going to be the community with the traffic, it's going to be trash. The community is going to be trash. That's my opinion.
Thank you. Yes, aside from the number of units they proposed, that was the most shocking thing to me when this proposal was put forth, was just the number of rentals, the percentage. And is that anywhere in this letter that we talk about that? I can't remember.
I don't think so. We didn't really talk about the renters. That would be a good comment to bring in.
Right. So, all right. So that's okay. I'm just
really has to do with property values.
right. Yeah, we've got a.
Eric, one other thing I wanted to say.
Mhm.
I always have one other thing. And you know, Joe's comment about the landscape buffer, the other thing I wanted to say about that is that, you know, this project's going to be built over 5-6 years. It's going to be done in phases, and it's really important, you know, that New Urban West is not going to be around for the whole thing. They're going to turn around and sell off chunks, and then Lennar and Brookfield Homes and whoever's going to come in. And so it's important that we don't have anything, we have our open space figured out. And I think we need to do this up front. We don't allow any changes or any, you know, switcherooskies, bait and switch things happening, you know, after the design guidelines are done. The design guidelines got to kind of stand on their own, because those builders are going to use those when they come back, hopefully, to us someday to talk about their project, if that happens.
Right.
That's all I got to say.
Okay, so we've been through board.
Eric.
Yes, sir.
Joe.
Yes.
I just want to say that I like the 100 feet. I like it even more if we could get it, but I want to be reasonable with our request of requesting 100 when really I said the code is 20, giving us 50, and we want 100. We have to be reasonable. So I like 1,000 if I could get it, but we have to be reasonable with our request. That's all.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so we've been through all the board member comments on this thing. And then we've got, let's see, community, Alan Hahn. Yes, the phases. Okay, so we kind of have to decide how we move forward here in terms of getting this thing completed, the letter, and how we're going to move forward on it tonight. I suppose we either have to say somebody's going to make a motion that we add certain things or make certain changes, a motion to approve as is, a motion to go back and work on it and come to have a special meeting next week to get it approved. We've got to get this thing approved before we can send it. So I'm seeing John Chu has provided some information in the chat about home sizes, number of acres. I'll come back to you, John. And then Robert, okay, design about the parcel. Yeah, that
good stuff.
Just I forget what the answer. We asked him that at the subcommittee, right? About that parcel on 14. And
yeah,
I think they kind of danced around the answer.
Yeah, mum's the word.
Yeah, we don't really know what. Yeah, there is no news about that. We've not really gotten a straight answer about that. So,
Eric,
yes,
I'd like to make a couple of maybe proposals to the letter.
Okay.
I think John Schroeder's comments about, you know, sort of, I think it could be worth listing that we heard the Planning Commission's comments, and, you know, John could maybe put together a paragraph on that second page, maybe we could, item F where we heard, it says, we heard at the last planning commission meeting, blah, blah, blah. Maybe that would be a good spot that John could insert some of those points that he made so that they know that we are listening to them, that we too are listening to them, because I think that New Urban West is going to be doing the same thing. And I think that that's important. And then the other thing I would like to do is make a suggestion that we ask that they build the open space and the trail system as part of a community amenity. And I hear what Joe's saying about 100 feet's too much, but my point is that they're asking for the moon, so why can't we? And if we end up getting 75 feet or we get a solid 50 feet, whereas if we didn't ask for that, we get 15 feet, that's not going to be acceptable. So you kind of have to, there's negotiations are going to happen. Hopefully, if the city or planning commission says you got to deal with that community board because they know what they're talking about, and there's some serious issues there that they have with your project, and you're not listening to them. That would be the ultimate win, even though they develop, but it's at least we get up back to the table again. Because right now, we have to fight fire with fire on this. And they're not listening.
Right. So there's a question. Why not just offer to keep AR11 and only allow development where the clubhouse zoning allows it as a starting point? The reason, I think, technically the reason we can't do that is because when the Planning Commission initiated this project, they also initiated a community plan amendment a community plan amendment and a zoning change. So the project that was initiated includes modifying our community plan, and it includes changing that zoning. So that's kind of the framework that the board has to work within. And again, these other organizations and people in the community who are steadfastly opposing any development and any change to the zoning, please keep up with that push. And as I've stated, and as others have stated, kind of simply put, we got to do what we got to do as a board.
What about, would it be worth also suggesting more of a variety of types of housing rather than, I think I just saw somebody's comments about the, Eric, you made a comment about the percentage of units that are apartments based on the community. But we could, even like when they did the Escondido, they have a lot of different homes, different types of homes. Condos, two-story single-family homes, and so forth. And that would show. It'd be good to have that mixed up a little bit, rather than them coming in and just saying, throwing up, 1,200 apartment units everywhere. We ask for similar housing next to similar housing, mixing it up with a combination of townhomes, condos, and single-family homes. And I think that's worth doing, worth making that a proposal.
Well, in the interest of moving the letter forward, I see a couple of options for us here tonight as the hour grows later and the discussion continues. I mean, we could keep talking about this, and we could keep massaging and changing this thing for weeks. Obviously, we got to get something to the city. As many have pointed out, we got behind the 8 ball because of COVID, and you name it. The city kept trucking along while we were chasing our tail for a couple of months. So, and where responsibility lies with me on that, I'll take it. I've taken plenty of criticism, and I've gotten plenty of positive comments as well, and I try and you know, assimilate all that into how I'm helping to facilitate all this. Anyway, the way, I mean, there's a lot of, so we've got people want to see, as far as I can tell here, people want to see discussion of encroachments into the buffer area discussed in the letter to the city. People want to see some discussion of building the project around the trail system and around the buffers. People, we definitely do want to address the letter to New Urban West, as well as Jeff Peterson and the city. We want to incorporate the percentage of units as rentals. Of course, if we're going to, sorry. Oh, sorry. The percentage of units as rentals, yeah, I mean, that seems like it's got to get in there. So, I mean, those are sort of the 1, 2, 3, 4 major bullet points that I've identified that people want to see folded into this thing. So we got a few, I mean, again, we have a couple of options here. We can make a motion to incorporate those things as discussed tonight, approve the letter subject to incorporation of those items. We can get somebody to make a motion to continue this to another time, throw it back to the subcommittee. There's any number of things that we can do here. You know, basically I'm sort of the pilot of the Zoom meeting here, but would be up to somebody else to sort of initiate a motion or do something else to get it moved to a point where we can get it wrapped up and get it to the city. So I'm open to suggestions on that. Kurt, you have your hand up?
I did. And I would like to make a motion that we amend the letter. We keep it at our board level, not back to the subcommittee. We integrate the 4 points that you brought up into the letter, and that we have a quick 1 hour revisit on to see the letter, review it together, approve it or not approve it for sending to the city and New Urban West.
Okay, so actually John Chu has a similar motion in the chat. Mark Clark asked to be unmuted. I'm clicking unmute on you, Mark. There you go.
You know, that sounds fine to me. That was going to be similar to what I was going to say, something similar to that.
Okay.
So I can second that motion if you want to restate it, and then we can second it.
Okay, so so there's one, okay, we've unfortunately, due to the technology we're working with here, there's input coming from a few different avenues. We've got vocal, and then so basically the motion on the floor here is to approve the letter subject to these additions and changes being made, and then have some sort of board review done after the changes. And John Chu is suggesting email. I don't believe that's really possible, just due to the fact that we're not supposed to be discussing this stuff via email outside the public eye. So I think what we have to do is have a motion on the floor to incorporate the changes, and then revisit in a short meeting, say possibly one week from tonight. Or I think that's because I can get another wrinkle to this is that the city is now requiring that the agenda, the Brown Act requires 72-hour notice. The city is telling me we can't hold any meetings until they have posted our agenda on their website. So I would have to get basically a short agenda for call it a special meeting And I would say 1 week from tonight at whatever, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 6:30, whatever works for people. But I think, does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. There's no deadline to submit the letter, Rich, but I think we're all feeling time is of the essence, and so that hence sort of the rush to get it done, just because of the fact that 4 months have gone by since we got locked down, and we haven't, the city really hasn't heard from us. So that's why. All right, so I guess then restating. Oh, he's worried that a week is too long. Yeah, I don't want to wait a week. What about building height? The height of the buildings, is that one of the 4 points?
Yes.
Yes, it is. So Rich is concerned that a week is too long, and I don't want to wait a week either, but I think the just due to public notice considerations, it kind of, I mean, we could probably shave that down to Monday or Tuesday of next week, but we got to get I got to get this. I mean, I can email a special agenda out tonight, I guess, even before I go to bed. I'll email it to the SD planning groups people and have them post that. So we could do this. I think Monday would probably be the earliest that we could really meet and give proper public notice per the city's requirements and the Brown Act requirements.
I'm unavailable on that day. Monday, I have a community presentation.
What about Tuesday next week?
Zoom presentation. Could do Tuesday, 5:30.
Okay. All right. So I think to make it simple, I'll restate this motion and see if we get a second. So the motion is that we go back and incorporate these items that we've discussed tonight into the letter and reconvene Tuesday. Does anybody have a date on what that is? That's the 12th or 13th? 13th, I think.
14.
Tuesday, yeah, Tuesday is the 14th. Thank you. Okay, so the motion is we incorporate these points into the letter, meet at 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday the 14th to discuss this and get board approval. So the focus of the meeting on Tuesday the 14th would be specifically this letter, nothing else, and 1 hour or less, hopefully. So does anybody have a second to that motion? Or second, Joseph seconds. All right, so all those in favor, let's see, I'm gonna go down the list. I'm in favor of that, so aye. Esther, are you unmuted? Probably not. I want to get verbals on this. I don't want to do it the way I did the agenda, just because this is important. Where did she go? Where? Esther. Why can't I find Esther in here? Oh, there she is. It keeps jumping around. All right. Man, am I getting tired. Esther?
I approve. And I didn't hear who seconded your motion.
It was Joseph Valencia.
I did.
Yeah. So the motion was made by Kurt, restated by me. It was also made by John Chu. So yes, we'll for the record, we'll say Kurt made the motion. Joseph Valencia seconded. We have a vote yes from me, vote yes from Esther. Ryan.
Maybe say if anybody's opposed or anybody abstains, that'll make it go quicker.
Well, yeah, I want to, if at all possible, I want to get board members on record verbally, just so we can be clear that it's how many yes and how many no's. But I hear you. Ryan?
Approved.
That's a yes. Dan Thompson, and if board members want to, if board members want to put it in the chat, that's fine too. I think that's acceptable. I'm looking for Dan Thompson. You're
Aye. Yes.
And Alan wants us to restate the 4 points. We'll go back and do that. John Chu, agree. Okay, now see, this is the problem with this, folks, is that the chat keeps jumping. People are, you got board members, I got community members, and so I think the verbal vote is probably what we need to do here. I don't want any suggestion in the future that this was somehow, you know, not approved by everybody. Okay, so Ryan approved. Dan Thompson said yes, right?
Yes.
Yes. John Chu said yes in the chat. I see him. Rich Kredgy, are you unmuted? Where did they? Why does this keep jumping around on me? This is what. Okay. Unmute. Rich has his hand up. Rich, I assume that's a yes.
No, actually, that was earlier. I would definitely would have preferred the vote to send what we have now, but I'm going to go ahead. I think there'll be good additions. I'm just worried about the time. I would prefer to get this in sooner. So
yeah,
I'll vote to a yes.
I understand the concern, and I think that you know, whether it goes in tomorrow or whether it goes in a week from tonight, I think that it's not like it's going to Planning Commission next week, so we should be okay. But you know, I agree, time is of the essence. John, where'd you go? There he is. You're unmuted, John Schroeder.
I approve.
Approve. Thank you. Mark Clark, I believe I'm just going to unmute you one time. Mark, are you in favor? Approve. Thank you. Michelle already, okay, she said yes in the chat, but I'm going to make sure she's unmuted. And Michelle, you approved?
I approve.
Thank you. Joseph, approved. Thank you. Yeah, well, he seconded. So, and Kurt, you approved. And then that leaves Silva and Majid. Silva, approve. Majid?
I approve.
Thank you. Okay, so the motion to modify the letter, meet again Tuesday evening, the 14th at 5:30 passes. And Alan Hahn has asked us to restate the 4 points. I'm going back to looking through that to see what his, I'm going to unmute Alan because I want to hear what he has to say about this. Where did he go? Oh, there he is. Alan, I'm just going to unmute you because I want to make sure we hear what you have to say.
I just wanted you to I didn't get it down the first time, the 4 points you're going to amend the letter with.
Yeah, well, the 4 points we have tonight are discussion of no encroachments into buffer zones, building the project around the trails rather than just using the pre-existing, however wide they are, golf cart paths. So we're talking about, you know, incorporating buffers and trails first, then designing building and neighborhoods. And then you incorporating your point that the letter be addressed to New Urban West as well. And then a discussion of percentage of these units that are rentals.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And in the course of doing this work, we may, I mean, there may be other stuff that comes in, and that's why we're going to have this meeting on the 14th to finalize this thing. So if that's good, sorry.
I think we're gonna add John Schroeder's comments.
Oh yes, the planning commission.
Bringing
yeah.
the planning key points were.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that, there's a spot in the letter, second page.
Were you suggesting adding quotes, like 4 or 5 quotes, or?
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, just say it like it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really letting them know, letting planning commission know, and eventually city council that we're listening, that we're trying not to be NIMBYs, and we're trying to, you know, but we want to do what's best for the community, and that kind of thing is really what that planning commission group, they're on the fence. So they're both kind of going both ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it sounded like they were trying to hold this community as a kind of a standard, where this will be like a new standard of quality for projects like this. So yeah, a high bar. Yeah.
That's what I got out of their comments as well. So, all right. With that, there are no more agenda items tonight. So that moves us on to adjournment. And what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to go through, I got to go to the bylaws and make sure I do it correctly to create a special meeting agenda. And I'm going to get that emailed to the city tonight. And then as far as the community goes, for Tuesday, let's see, Tuesday, Monday, Sunday, Saturday, as long as because I have to compose an email to go with it, and that takes a little time for the, you know, the community list and getting it to CMR United so they can get it to their list. But I suppose I think Eric Spadal is in here and probably listening. The meeting is going to be Tuesday, July 14th at 5:30. Zoom link and agenda to follow. So while this isn't formal, my brain is just gone. This isn't formal announcement of the meeting per Brown Act, but for purposes of you guys announcing it to anyone else, that's when it's going to happen. And if anything changes, we'll get that info out there. So I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting to reconvene Tuesday the 14th at 5:30. Gavel. See, this has been a kinder, gentler Eric since COVID. I got no gavel anymore. all I have is the mute all button. All right, guys, thank you very much. Let's end this fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll see you soon.